Welcome to Rad Chat. I'm your host, Brandy Lynn, and before we get started today, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the company All Paws Pet Care. She sent me this shirt. We have the back as well. She does anything you want for dogs. If you need pet walking, if you need dog sitting, any kind of animals, any dogs, big, small, etc. She's located in New Jersey, so go hit her up on All Paws Pet Care NJ on Instagram. Now let's get started. Today my special guest is Berenice Valle, and she is the founder of URA Casting, or as you know it on Instagram, From the Streets to the Set. Welcome!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I know it's such a
for
crazy
having me.
world, especially in entertainment.
Oh yeah.
So I really appreciate your time. And so just to get started, can you tell me what URA Casting is? How did you found it?
Yeah.
Let's just start there.
So before it became URA Casting, we came up with the name and we're like, what do we call ourselves? And it's like, well, from the streets to the set, and we didn't adopt the name URA Casting until sometime last year, where
okay.
it was more formal, and I wanted to open the doors not just to the Chicanos or the thugs, or I wanted to any inner city underrepresented artist. So that's what it stands for. URA Casting is underrepresented artist.
Oh, that's dope! Oh my gosh!
So
that's very clever.
Thank you. So pretty much how it started is before I got into entertainment, I always did advocacy work inside the juvenile halls, inside prisons. I worked with
awesome.
dual diagnose, mental health, just gang intervention. And, part of being a case manager in gang intervention was to place some of these inner city kids in summer jobs or something to do. And the opportunity came by a friend that gave this casting director my number and said, look, I can't vouch for anyone because he was recently transitioning, but he said there's one of my friends that works with all this type of population, so talk to her. And she reached out to me excuse me, and we started off with being background in the show Goliath, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
excuse me, yeah, with Billy Bob Thornton. And pretty much what happened on Goliath was that we got good feedback. They asked us to go back again. And then we started getting calls, from SWAT and production for like 9/11 and the Mayans. And
dope.
yeah, so
Sons of Anarchy was my shit, and that's like the spin-off. And also it's funny because we met through Carnival Pictures, so shout out Carnival.
Yes.
And
Alex.
through Carnival, yes, Alex. And through Carnival Pictures, I met Carnival Pictures because my tattoo artist Mario Daggett, who kind of works in the realm of the Mayans.
It's
full
funny.
circle, guys. It's a small
But
world.
now I'm gonna make it even more full circle. My husband works at Mario's tattoo shop.
Oh shit!
So
dude, shout out Mario. Mario's
Yeah.
done basically a lot of my tattoos, and like he's my go-to artist in California. Dude, that's nuts! Holy shit!
Yeah. So
shout out
I
to
know
all
Mario
them.
too. Yes, Mario. Shout out
Oh my God,
to my husband, to Alex,
Yes.
to everybody. In
What's
the
your husband's
business.
name? Also, if he's tattoo
Daniel
artist.
Valle. Yeah,
Nice.
Daniel Valle. You guys could
Oh my God,
follow him
how
as well.
funny.
But
Wow.
yeah, so it's funny. But I going back to like how I got in. That's how we started, and then that became. At that time, it was like, well, we need someone to stay with the guys on set because, of course, they're not gonna say, "Oh, I need to babysit." But it's a different population.
Yeah.
Some are familiar with working with that population, and some are not. So I think just to be on the safe side, they were like, "Hey, like someone that knows them and could speak to them." So that literally became a full-time job because it was like, come back and then recall and then again and again. So I kept calling in at my regular job and they were like, well, they weren't supportive. So that was my key to say, all right, I'm gone, because at the end of the day, if I'm hired to do a change in the community and then you want to step in the way of doing that, then I don't belong there.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's also kind of like a fateful thing because it brought you to where you are now, and that is where you're supposed to be.
Right, yeah, and pretty much that's been my mission ever since. Like, when I got to see that first group of guys experience a different world and like wanting more of it, I was like, why aren't more people like this on set?
Yeah.
You know, like, why aren't we opening up new worlds and opportunities to people that maybe that's all they need, you know? And so far it's been a success in my eyes. I'm not gonna say I am where I'm gonna get to, but I'm gonna get there. You know, it's a process, it's a journey, and I'm loving every minute of it.
That's amazing.
Just overall, not even like the work or the pay. It's just pretty much seeing the transition and implementing something different than what we were basically raised with, right? So and then the bonds and the brotherhood and all that stuff that has been created even behind the scenes, like, that's what makes it worth it. You know, so
that's incredible. Especially too, just to kind of clarify, so basically you started a casting company that helps underrepresented minorities or people of color to get into the entertainment world. So is this just movie specific, TV shows? Is it all in general?
All in general. We've done low budget, we've done big productions, we've done music videos, we've done international music videos, we've done different interviews, podcasts. We've also been involved in film festivals.
Great.
We've done short films. We've done a little bit of everything, and yeah, that was the goal, to have different people from inner city, raw, authentic, like, not somebody that you go and pick from Hollywood and slap a fake tattoo on. Like, no, like, you want a real tatted guy? I got that for you. But give them the opportunity, you know? Yeah. And what makes it even more unique is guys from different communities. And when I say communities, I mean gangs, you know? So when you see someone that would probably be shooting at each other, you know, come together and bond and even confide on one another with even personal things outside of work, that makes it worth it, you know? Because instead of being enemies, now we become, you know, a family. And that's what makes at least this casting a little different than the rest, because our component also has like a healing component. We also have storytelling, we have through writing, you know, and I encourage my guys, like, tap in with what you feel, tell your story. Like, there's only one you, so why not? And a lot of my motive behind it is that I guess I got tired of seeing the inaccuracy in these films and in our stories, because they want to take our stories but not put our people in it. So I just felt like, let's do something about it, at least the people that are open to a change, you know?
That's so incredible, and we need people like you to do this in the world, especially now, which, granted, this should have always been going on, but of course it's coming more into the light now. And that's so incredible, because you watch these movies or these shows or music or anything, and you're like, oh, I don't see myself there, like, I don't see myself represented. Or people could say, like, you know, that's not really the emotion that you, like, I've been through something, like, I can accurately describe it on screen with, like, raw talent, like you said. And that's incredible too, because I think in life everything's about storytelling, right? We all have our own stories, and everyone under the sun has been through different things. The fact that you're shining light on real people and their real stories, and then creating, like, authentic entertainment, like, that is so powerful. How does it feel when you're doing this? Like, what are your emotions? How does it feel when people come to you and they're like, thank you for representing me and giving me a chance? Because I'm sure the stigma, right? Like, my dad had a biker gang, very different things, but that's the only thing I can kind of relate to. And there's a stigma, right? Like, you're bad and you're a rebel and I don't want to deal with you. But, like, there's so much good in it. Like, the biker gang would do charities and do Toys for Tots and all these really powerful things, and they had a community of other bikers that were all in the same mindset, but maybe just went through some shit in their life. And then you have other gangs that probably similar things. Like, there's some goodness in them.
Right.
Like, we shouldn't just have such a bad stigma. Like, and then the fact that you're showing light to that is so incredible. Like, these people don't get a chance because of the stereotypes, and then here you are like, no, fuck that, let's give them a chance. Like, that is empowering. How do you take all that in?
It becomes overwhelming at times in the sense that you know, when you accomplish something that you were told you can't do, it's like in your face type attitude. But at the same time, to be able to touch everyone with an open mind, because sometimes they say, yeah, we'll give them that opportunity, we'll do this, but then it shows with action, some, you know, being receptive. And when they actually do give them a chance, and then they get to know these individuals for who they are, not what they look like, not a rap sheet, not any of their, you know, life events, then they get to experience that everyone has a heart, everyone has a story, and everyone has unhealed trauma that we all cope in different ways, you know, and one isn't better than the other, one pain isn't worse than the other. So it becomes very overwhelming, because it's like you see the potential, and then you see the hunger of these guys and girls wanting to change and do something else, and then you still have to kind of fight your way through, you know, to like prove yourself 2-3 times more. It's overwhelming and it's a bittersweet, but I understand that at least the people I represent are very resilient. So that's where my faith lays, that you've been through some shit already. Like, come on, like we could move past this and see what's on the other side. And I think like my biggest reward overall is I got to experience one of my guys come out in the big screen, right, for the first time. And I'm talking about Anthony Cortez. We call him Hollywood Bounce, right?
Shout out to Anthony.
Yeah, shout out. He's one of my old timers, a big advocate for the team. That's awesome.
What can people see him in? Is he in anything currently?
He was on Peppermint. He was on Mayans. He's been on SWAT.
Nice.
He's been on different stuff.
Yeah,
nice. For sure. He's one of the ones that stuck with me since the beginning, you know, and he's been going through the motions with this team as well. So, you know, the time and place that I knew I was in the right place was when we got to see him in big screen, but then the reaction of mostly like his daughter, right? Like coming up to me,
so
like coming up to me and saying like, oh, thank you for like putting my dad on, and you know, and to a kid it might have been 5-10 seconds, it don't matter, but at the end of the day, what that kid is seeing now is someone to look up to. And it's not, you know, and now we're taking a ride to the movie theater to see your dad. We're not taking a ride down to state prison and seeing him behind a glass or anything. So the perception the perception that, you know, we leave it in these kids, that's the reward. For the first year of this, I was giving up my own fees so my talent could get paid, you know, and that was fine, because I wanted them to be exposed to something, to show their kids something different, and really to prove themselves that they're more than what they just look in the mirror, you know. And a lot of them feel guilty of their past, or they haven't been there, or I missed out on a lot, but it prepared them for where they're at now, you know. And I think like the feeling that comes with it is like just rewarding in itself, and not financially, but just in the emotion, as in like, that's right, like that's one of mine, like, and I don't mean like my team, but I'm saying like one of mine, like who's been through that, who's walked that journey, who's and I could say hell yeah, like we're doing it, you know. So the feeling is just motivating. Sometimes it could be draining, because there's people that are stuck in their ways, you know what I'm saying? And so therefore you can't really change anyone's thinking, but you could show them that you're loyal to what you believe in. And I think that the more they see you doing the work, then they kind of open up, like, well, let me see what she's up to, or let me see, you know, their horizons. Right? So man, overall it's just the overwhelming, happy, blessed experience, and I take pride in it, because I think that it takes skills to do something that unites a lot of people with pain, like I said, unhealed trauma, brokenness, dysfunction, and anger and all these things. But when you take that leap of faith and you have them all under one roof, you really just see a bunch of people that at one point and still want to be loved, accepted, respected, seen for who they are, not what you just assume, So yeah, that's
so empowering. That just like overwhelms me with like such a positive outlook of what people are doing in this world, because it's so incredible that you had this experience, it brought you to this vision, and now this is your purpose, right? You're just passionate about it. And then it's so incredible because here you are bringing these people all together of all different backgrounds, all different things. And maybe there's like, obviously, people go through things and they go one way and they just do bad and stay on the bad track. But then there's people who have like you're almost like their mentor, right? Like you're the one that started and founded this company, and here you are as like basically like the casting director, you're getting all these people in roles and pushing their narrative, that it's almost like a mentor. And sometimes, no matter how old people are, they need that. Like, that is what saves people from continuing on the bad route. You're like literally stopping them in their tracks, like, hold up, like, we can make this into a career. You can also, not only just a career, and like you said, it's not about the money, it's about changing their life in a positive way. And then you bring them into this community of all people, of all backgrounds, all different growing ups or experiences they've been through, and you're helping them not go back to jail, or helping them not go to jail in the first place. And that is so incredible. And then to put them on the screen and represent that culture or that race or that anything under the sun, dude, that's so incredible. How is it when you're trying to get the roles? Like, do you have to actively seek them? Do you have help in that? What is that process?
So everyone that is putting together a project and wants to cast individuals, at times they send me a script and say, like, read it through. Then they give me a character breakdown, and if there's anyone in the team that I feel could fit that, or could give it a try or whatever, then I talk to the team and I say, hey, there's this role, like, I have these sides, practice some, self-tape, I'll be here to help, whatever it is. And that's how we're doing recently. Before, it was just like raw pictures, like, I must send you who I work with, and by the look of the picture, let me know, Yeah. And that's how it became, because a lot of it was background. So now, moving forward, there's been a few of my guys who have had speaking roles, and some that have been casted for lead roles. And so therefore, the work is always a work in progress. How do we do this? How do we do that? And as far as getting more work for them, that becomes the challenging part, because a lot of people want reels and a lot of people want headshots. And what people need to understand is that, especially now with the economy that we're living, not a lot of inner city guys have the resources to say, all right, well, let me go drop $2,500 on like some headshots and professional stuff. So that's what also made it a little different with me, was I would be honest and say, well, I'll give you pictures of what I have on my phone right now. And if that works, then, we can work together. Right. So, but now it's getting more structured, more organized, to where we do have, profiles, as in, like, this is how he started. These are the characters they've played. This is what they could potentially play. Oh, nice. And most of the producers, directors that I've had the pleasure of encountering through the journey has really been by word of mouth. Like, they've heard, or they've, seen, or they've, looked into, or saw me on set, or overheard a conversation, whatever it was. And they've been very genuine to say, okay, well, let's try out your guys. Or I have a project currently that, the lead actor, and he's very well known, like, told me, I don't care if they've never acted before, as long as they're willing to, like, we'll coach them, just, I need someone that doesn't give a fuck, like, just gives it, so.
Gives it their all.
Right, so I think, like, it's just, honestly, like, if I gotta compare it to, like, what I would do in the past, is like a hustling move. Like, you gotta hustle, like, you gotta sell your team. You got, like, what is it about them that they could bring that someone else can? And I like to stick to the authenticity of things. But of course, you have to have preparation. You have to, practice your craft, get to know a little more of, internal dialogue and like different stuff like that. But though that comes when the individual is sure that that is the route they want to take, So I would be a fool for someone to want to try it out and then I ask them for this big old package, which is real, your headshots, your all that, and then they try their first time and they're like, well, you know what, this is not for me. So that's why I just kind of organically be like, well, this is what I have, and then
that's
and
actually really smart. So then you're not wasting your resources, you're not wasting their resources and time. Right. So that's actually a really good method to do.
Yeah, so thank you. And that's how so far we've been doing it. But it's, it's gonna evolve to, obviously, more of my actors are gonna be more prepared and, just doing different things that maybe the background actors are gonna do, or maybe the people that are in the music business are gonna do, or the girls that are just modeling. Like there's different components to this agency that I run, and I think that's what even makes it more different, and
it's always growing too.
It's always, and I'll elaborate a little bit on by what I mean. There's different components. There's people that think URA and From the Streets to the Set, it's one, that's it. Like, they're selective, they're picky, they have, and I've heard it all. And I quite frankly, laugh at it because
haters are always going to hate.
Oh, of course. But, and I always say haters are fans that don't know it yet.
Yes, but, true. Or they're fans, but still looking at your stories.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, my thing would be, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing, but there's more to this. Just because I don't air it out or I'm not out there doing it in a different way that other people are doing, that doesn't mean that there's no movement forward. Yeah. It's just there's times you gotta make some certain moves in silence. You know what I'm saying? So with this component, URA Casting, with a lot of the people who've been looking into us and investors and people who want to help us do grant writing and stuff like that. The bigger picture is URA Casting is one branch. Our logo is From the Streets to the Set. But we have different components. We have guys who are into comedy. There's guys who do videography. There's guys that do podcasts. There's guys that do like real life, talking about real life experiences. We have kids. We have youth. We have, silk screen printing. We have vendors that are part of URA, and it's not, we're not just all actors. Like, we got to be real. Like, not everybody is meant to be an actor and actress. That's the truth. But maybe you could produce, maybe you could direct, maybe you could write, maybe you're an event planner, and so it becomes a branch. And that's why earlier, before we started recording, I said, From the Streets to the Set has a branch with podcast that's going to launch, which is More Than Thugs Radio, right?
Coming soon.
So we're talking about expanding that. Then we have one of my guys, Chris, shout out to Chris, podcast with Fat Boy Productions, right? He launched that and he does comedy skits.
Oh,
so and he says, like, I never thought I would be acting a fool in the screen, because you see this outside the exterior and it's like this tough, tatted, but then when you get to know him, and he's funny, he's like not,
I love that.
No care in the world of what people say. So I mean, that's really, you're true to yourself, and that's what we're developing here, and again, like I said, then there's tattoo artists, there's artists, period. So
there's models.
Yes, models. There's, musicians, people who do a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I believe that this is a home away from home of the outlaws or the outcasts or the people that think twice, maybe. Yeah. But when we let you in our circle, or you really get to experience of the mission of what really is, then you're like, okay, I get why they are the way they are. And, and to make it clear to the audience, we are very selective on different things, and maybe people feel like I don't always reach out or I have favorites. And in a way, excuse me, it's not calling it favorites. It's just
who's going to put in that work.
Yeah, like who's willing, and then also who's willing to live by the mission statement of what I stand for.
Yeah,
if,
it's important.
You know, if the purpose of coming into the group is just either for clout or just to say, oh, I need this or that, there's more to this, because we're not, besides everything we do, we also give back to the community. We volunteer our time. We go and advocate. We go and, you know, do meetings that help the community. We plan events. We do all that. So if there's no time to invest in giving back, then I'm not gonna waste my time and just giving you something, you know? Like, it's not always about that. There's dues you gotta pay in everything you do in life, whether you're in the street, whether you're doing it professionally. You gotta set yourself up to saying, I'm here to stay, you know? And sometimes giving back is part of that process.
And that's just, I mean, and that is so genuine about your whole mission, because that's a good point. Like, you don't want people that are just going to come to you for, you know, fame and fortune, because your message is not anything about that. Yes, that's like, you know, a benefit that comes down the line, but there's so much work that you put into this. Even just your name, from the streets to the set, like, this is like a nitty gritty. Like, these people are learning and coming to this community. You don't want them to just be taken advantage. Like, that's so empowering, that not only are you doing this for the community, but then you're also giving back to all these communities. That's so empowering. And I feel like, of course, you're going to want to only attract good vibes to do that. And on your social media, you're so active of all your activism, which, guys, you have to check out the Instagram. We'll tag it all over. But you literally are so upfront. Like, this is what we do. We're always in the communities doing activism. I saw you guys and Alex all doing stuff. Like, so empowering. And I think that is so genuine. And that just shows, like, you want people to work with you for that genuality. Yeah, it's really important.
That is what I want. So if there's anyone out there that is in the industry or outside the industry where we are able to fit in and just show you really what we're about, like, you know, send us a DM, an email, yes, because, you know, it's just, it's needed, and some people don't know that something like this exists, you know, and it did years ago, you know, and currently now I get, you know, advice and stuff from Manny Jimenez, which back in the day he ran Suspect Entertainment, which was familiar like this, predominantly males, and maybe back then it was still a little more like people were more receptive, like, oh, you know, but it was successful, it was out there, and looking back, I wasn't aware of that until I met, you know, Manny, and I got the history of it, but seeing it now and how more accepting outside in society it is to have homies or whatever on screen, and then now having the other side being more receptive and saying, okay, well, let's try it out. You know, there's most definitely changes in the entertainment business that you didn't see back then, of people being more open about it, but nevertheless it's been there. Just now it's more, I guess, vocal. There's more social media, more platforms where you could expose it more. But most definitely there's been people who've been trying to do this, who have done the work. And now I feel like it's on to the next person. Like, all right, let's carry it on. And, you know, while the ones who've done this before now are venturing off on other things, you know, and Manny, you know, he's writing and he's directing and producing and stuff like that. So, you know, everybody has a time for their focus, whatever that is at that moment. So now I feel like, you know, I was put in this position because I am able to execute what the mission is. But nevertheless, I believe that it's something that we've all been fighting for, and now it's, at least with me, it's here to stay, you know?
For sure.
So we'll, you know, see and keep asking people to come forward and say, hey, like, if there is projects, short films, commercials, like anything, let us know. You know, we're here. We have a group full of talented people, and it's for people to see for themselves and not just hear about it.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Which I'm so thankful you would come on my podcast to get this message out to anyone listening or viewing or watching. It's so empowering, because I feel like it's a good, what you said was so really on the nose because social media is so big right now. It's helping like get this message right. Like when we were growing up, we didn't have social media. Right. We didn't have shit. And so it's like you got to spearhead such a great message and purpose to get this message out there because one, we have social media to help us, and then two, you're right, maybe you have a lot of actors, but your whole business branch, it opens to so many varieties, and that helps people not only think like, oh, I can't go to you because I'm not an actor. Well, okay, well, what if you like producing, or what if you like write? Like, that's so great because sometimes, at least when I was growing up, I didn't know any of this shit existed. Like, I didn't know I could just do a podcast. Like, I didn't know I could do these things. Right. And that's so great that you're teaching these people, young or middle or old, that there's so many possibilities that they can keep learning. And I think that is so incredible because in life, one, my biggest thing is that we have to be open to people. Like, just because you look at someone and maybe they have tattoos or they look a certain way or they're different than you, who fucking cares? Like, that person is rad as fucking shit. And I love that. I feel like I really connect to this whole message. Maybe, you know, I'm not a person of color, but I have been judged for other things, or I have, you know, grew up as a black sheep, or like I have a chest tattoo and a bunch of tattoos, and people are like, who is this girl? But like, I'm such a dorky little girl. You're gonna think I'm a rebel, but I'm a Disney girl. Like, don't even trip. Like, and so I love that because growing up, I always saw people with tattoos and I just thought they were the coolest people in the world. Or like, you know, and then other people that don't get it, they just think we're not. Right. But I love that you're just so open to any person under the sun. And then you're going to teach them things they didn't even know. So then kids can grow up and be like, oh wait, like I can do this because URA Casting, like they'll promote it. Or they like are looking for people that will just do any kind of talent. Right. So it really helps branch what talent is, right? Like, talent is not just an actor and actress. Talent could be a producer. Talent could be comedy. Talent could be a model or a it's so great that you're doing this. And that's incredible because that just makes your business so much stronger because you're not just one thing. You're open to so many things. And that'll help get your whole message out. It'll help other people want to connect with you. That's really, really great that you're doing this. Thank you. It's so empowering too, especially because you said you like work with some kids, or you want those kids to see their dad or their mom on the screen, or whoever, their family member. Like, that's so great. I just like love this.
Which, speaking of kids, also coming soon is a TikTok, but predominantly all kids.
Oh,
you know,
fun.
Just raw talent, whatever's on your kid's mind, you know, because growing up, for those that could relate, I used to watch Don Francisco, right, with my mom. It was a show that came out every Saturday, and there's a segment with kids, and he used to sit in the middle with all of them, and they used to ask them the more way out random questions, but this is where a kid is at in their life. They're pure, they're innocent, they're curious, they want to know. So growing up, I don't know about the rest, but we were always told, like, see and shut up, see and don't say nothing, see, you know, so therefore we were very shut, you know, and it was like, okay, you see that, but you don't talk about it, or you don't, you know, and and I think that it's good and bad, you know, but the bad part is suppressing a lot of the feelings, a lot of the imagination that goes on in a kid's mind, like, oh, should I ask that? Because what about if I get slapped? Or what about if I'm told shut up? Or like, that's a stupid question. And on my platform, I want kids to really feel comfortable expressing themselves, you know, and we'll launch it with my daughter, like her and her freestyle. She talks,
guys, it's so good. It's so good.
She talks about, you know, like the Father's Day theme, and about, you know, their dad in addiction, and like how he lacks being there at times, and you know, and it, as far as I could remember, at 13, I was like closed about anything that was going on with me, and even mom probably had to put me in therapy or something because she didn't know how to handle certain things to talk about. But with my daughter, I, you know, and my son, I both encourage them and every kid out there, like, be transparent, like, say what needs to be said, be the voice that maybe every 13-year-old needs, you know, and it's okay. Like, I tell my daughter and other kids who I've interviewed for this, like, TikTok stuff, you know, don't hold back because, oh, I might hurt this person's feelings as far as like if I say that. And by people, I don't mean like racial or sexist or nothing. I'm just saying if I express how I really feel, how is that person gonna take it, right? Yeah. And like I tell my daughter, if the content is about me and your dad, at least for me, I could speak for myself, is your feelings are valid. Yeah. Don't let me stand in the way of having you express how you feel. And these times about maybe even the president or looters or protest or black and brown or lack of father in the home or regardless. And these are not topics that you see a lot of kids talking about. Either they're, on YouTube or like just shut down or, and
they're topics that we need to talk about. Like, right. Especially like going back to your message, like having black and brown in the media is so important. And that's great that a 13-year-old girl is going to put that shit out. And I really connect to that too because I feel the same way. When I was 13 and I had so much shit happen to me, I couldn't, like, we came in a household where, like, you're not allowed to talk or you're going to get smacked. Like, don't share your business, don't talk. And then you grow up and you don't know how to, like, handle things. Right. And then, like, therapy was the greatest thing for me. But it's great if a 13-year-old doesn't have to go to therapy because they can just be open about their emotions. I think it's so important to talk about that too, like, having emotions. And you're, of course, like, everyone will feel a certain way. And like you said, like not racial, not sexual, sexist, not anything very derogatory, but like just to have an open experience. Like I just feel sad today and this is why. Like that's so important to get out because as 13-year-olds, you just are learning how to process your mind. That like when you're 25 or etc., you're going to be so much more ahead of the game. Right. So great that you're doing that. Like I wish I knew you when I was 13. Like I would have been done so much better in my life. Because that's a good point. Like people like us are like what you're expressing. I feel very similar. Like you couldn't talk about shit and then you have all this unprocessed energy that when you get older, you're like just trying to unpack it. And it's like baggage, and it's like if a 13-year-old doesn't have to have baggage, or a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 20 whoever, like oh my god, that's amazing.
No, and that's really the key of all this, having a voice. We've been, and by we say, I'm talking about like inner city and people who have been deprived of opportunity, or they say they have been. Now that this platform is open and you have a voice, why should it? Like why think twice about it? Why doubt yourself? Why fear it? So I think like being able to see kids and maybe that be your example, then, and motivate you, then cool. I know that I learn a lot from listening to these kids and the things they think about, because I'm just like, damn, like things have evolved so much. And it's like this, I believe in being open with your kids, because if you're not, we have these little devices called cell phones, and the internet that just gives either false information, like crappy, dialogue about certain important things. So if you don't teach it, by word of mouth and with the right motive and the right intent, then these kids are going to learn it somewhere else when you don't know other people's motives or the intent. So then that's where they fall through the cracks, So I rather my kids tell me I'm angry at the damn world because all these damn looters, they don't know what the hell they're talking about or whatever, how my daughter expresses it. And even like, she's questioning me like, well, does the president have a wife and a daughter he thinks about, and it's shit like that you're like, does he know he has a daughter and a wife, So
like why are these cops doing this crazy shit?
Right.
And no one, like, there needs to be action. Like your daughter is like trying to advocate for that.
And I just push her talent, her voice forward, because the day I'm gone, I'm not eternal. I expect and I hope my kids could have a voice and say, nah, like I used to see how my mom used to stand up for what she believed, and this is where I'm at today, and that's what I will continue to do, because I think a lot of us need that, especially in our cultures. We became a culture who's very docile, like we're passive, like, oh, they take our land, they do this, okay, we do this, oh, okay, like we said, and we don't know how to fight, and when we do know how to fight, we're fighting each other, which is like, I don't make no sense of it, but these are the things that there's kids looking up at what you're doing, you know? So therefore, be that voice, be fearless, just express what's really there. It's your story. There's only one of you. You die, that story dies with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, how unfair is that, like, to the world, that to not know that you existed, you could say, you know? But, and that's just my mentality, but
I really love that, because you're taking like real life situations like you and your daughter, and that just helps you grow what URA is. Like, that's the main message, right? Like, let's be open about our stories, and it doesn't matter what talent you are, but we're all welcome here to share that story. And storytelling is so important, because like you said, we die with that story. So unless we're gonna tell it, they're gonna tell it wrong, right? Like, they're gonna take our story and think it's some way, and then you watch and you're like, that's not what that happens in my city, or that's not what I went through at this color, or whatever it is. But, or as a women, like, that's not what we deal with. So that is so empowering, that you are giving these people a voice to be like, hey, come with us if you're serious about it and you want to go and you're vibing with my message and my mission. Then let's do this. Like, let's tell these stories. Because how many remakes of shit have we seen? And maybe some of them are great. Like, I can't say I don't love the Disney remake. I fucking love them. But real life stories, there's so many of them. And here we are just like adapting over adapting over adapting, when we have an original book right here just waiting to be told and waiting to be read. And that is so important. And I'm so happy there is. And I'm so happy I met someone that's like doing this, because I feel like my main message of doing this podcast is just sitting down with someone that maybe I never would have, or maybe that I just met, or like, who knows, it doesn't, or maybe I really know them really great, but that time to just like have a human connection face to face, and I'm getting your vibe and you're getting my vibe, and we're genuinely listening to each other, is such the art of a human connection, which is so lost now, right? Like, people don't get together and just share their stories, and who knows, like, just a few things you said, I'm like, oh yeah, I connect to that in a different way, but I still can connect to that. And it's like so important that we can just do this. And I think the fact that your whole business is based off of telling stories of people's lives and what they've been through, and taking struggle and making it beautiful. Oh, girl. So amazing. I'm like very emotional about it, because it's so great that there's people doing that. And I think that's so important too, like you said. These inner cities, or these cultures that society has just like brushed aside and like pretend it's not there, but it's there. It's like those homeless people are out there. Like, there is people in these cities that are out there that need help, or like need someone to just reach out and like, let's get this community together. And that's so amazing. Like, I mean, I grew up in an apartment complex, so it's a very different like kind of growing up, right? You have people that lived in houses, you have people that lived in apartments, and then like you go to school and you're like, oh, those are the apartment kids, or oh, those are the house kids, they must be rich. And it's like, the apartment complex was like its own community. You just played with every kid under the sun. Didn't matter how old they were, didn't matter what they looked like, you all just played. And you went inside when the street lights came on and then you were good. And so I grew up very diverse and very like all accepting. So it's crazy, like, I had that little community, and then here you are in your other little communities, and then all these other people in these communities. And it's like, wow, like, everyone can have a voice, and that's so, so, so special.
Thank you.
It's really incredible. Do you have anything currently, I mean, I know with COVID, it was a little crazy. Don't worry, guys, we're safe, everyone's good. But I know that obviously was a struggle on the entertainment. How are you working with that? How are you kind of going forward with it?
I've been reading this. I read this thing online that says if you didn't come out a hustler after COVID hit, then it's just not in you. And I think
True.
That's just what it comes down to. Yeah, big productions, due to legal and all the protocol and stuff like that. Of course, they have to take very serious precautions, and looking into like reopening the sets and for the crew and cast, and like having accommodations, so we haven't been on a big set since March, but we have been doing smaller things. So some photo shoots, some music videos, casting for current projects that are like in the works, whether pre-production, whether we're just looking at locations, whether whatever. So when the time does come where we are given the okay to start working again, then we could say, okay, this is in place, let's move forward. But In the meantime, what a lot of my guys and like myself, I've been writing my own script, my own short films.
Oh, fun. How's that?
Challenging. Yeah, very challenging. It makes you relive certain things, especially if you're telling a real story.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, also a shout out to Four Ways Entertainment, who have also sat with me and had little writing sessions, and I've been, part of their table a couple times, and just learning to put it in a script form, because me, the way I write is I write like novel and essay and paragraph, so I just like everything I'm thinking it's written, but just how do you break it down in a script, right? So those are things I myself have been learning in the process. But the team, they've been doing photo shoots. They've been one of my guys, like I said, Chris from Fat Boy Productions, he's doing endless skits, like just making people laugh. And I think that everyone needed that, just in the times that we're living. And so they're doing that, and then had other team members who invested in like equipment so they could do their shirt printings, or other people who launched like their YouTube channels, like shout out to my brother Mario, like Real TV YouTube channel, tune into it. It's literally like behind the scenes, and like random questions, like what different things, and he's doing interviews out there in the community. So I think just we keep storytelling. That's really what it is. I don't think that COVID could stop the influence of storytelling, whether it's through social media, whether it's you recording yourself, whether it's just you and someone else. At the end of the day, if it's in you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse, you know?
That's true. That's really good advice in general sense, too.
So just, it's affected. We miss our big sets and all that stuff. Crafty, I'm sure, but we know that it's a matter of time. And when it does come back full force, we're ready. Like I said, right now we're doing open casting calls. I'm attached to about like 3-4 projects now.
So you guys hear that? Open casting.
Yes. If you follow our page, I post them on our stories, like the character breakdown or what we need, or like how to submit your information. But we are still working.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear that. I just feel like it's good to know how people can navigate these kind of strange waters, or the new normal kind of. So that's really great that you guys are still able to make it work. And I think that's also really great about what Instagram is now, because you can just show your talent right there. Like, go to my profile, here's all my talent, that's basically their portfolio right there.
Right.
Just go to the Instagram. So that's really great too, and it's great that you still have future projects. And then it's incredible you're going to write your own story. How is it to put your own like emotion, or how is it dealing with that emotion of like your own story? Because I'm sure when you deal with other people's stories, it's a different type of emotion, right? But now it's like your own personal little baby.
Yeah.
How's that?
Again, very overwhelming, because there's things that I probably thought twice of putting out there, before. Maybe there was like some shame, maybe there was like some guilt, maybe there was some things that I had not healed, or even like maybe family secrets, But I think, like, how can I say, it's like taking a leap of faith in everything you do, you know? And again, I heard, I listen to a lot of like motivational speaking in the morning, like to start my day. So either like Will Smith or Denzel Washington, or,
Great one.
And Denzel.
Will Smith's brick by brick saying.
Yes. And Denzel, like he says, in your deathbed, you have these spirits around you. So it could be your spirit of imagination, creativity, and all that. And the question is, like, how many of those are going to die with you?
Wow. That's inspiring.
So the thing is, like, I'm not trying to have any spirit die with me. Like, I'm going to leave my legacy, whether it's creatively, whether it's motivationally, whether it's however I impact the life. Like, how do I leave a legacy behind? And so telling my story, things that maybe at one point I was probably afraid to share or embarrassed or whatever, I think that that could be a guide of survival to somebody else. So like it would be selfish of me not to share something I've been through that could probably save or help or encourage or motivate someone else, you know. And I do believe in a higher power, and I believe that if he gave me the life that he gave me and I just kept it to myself, I wouldn't be doing his purpose either, you know. And so therefore I put my feelings out there. I wear my feelings on my sleeve. My story is an open book. I am not afraid of sharing, like if people ask me, or saying, or my own experiences, because it's shaped me of who I am today. And today I'm not ashamed of who I am, you know. So like, why should I be? There's only one Berenice, and there will only be one one me. And I'm gonna embrace me, you know, whether people like it or not. And there's, you know, you attract what you're ready for, and you attract people on the same mission as you. And if people have left or fell off or whatever, I'm grateful for that too, you know, because I believe that's something that God was doing for me that I couldn't do for myself. You know, so that's how I perceive it. That's how I see it. You know, blessings to everybody. But in the meantime, if you ain't rocking with me, don't stand in my way either, you know? So that's really like the feelings, everything, just like, okay, I'm ready to put this story out there. I'm ready to be raw with who I am. And before I was afraid of that, but like I've said before, you know, like in other interviews and stuff like that, like we've been paralyzed by fear all our life, like, and that hasn't got us anything. So I'm not gonna be afraid of telling people who I am, where I come from, what I've been through, and how I bounce back from that, you know. And that's really where the focus should be, like not where I've been, but how did I come back from that, and where am I going? You know, because it's like someone once said, you know, the past only exists in your mind. You know, the past and the future only exist in your mind. The past is gone. The future's not even here yet. That's so you gotta focus on today. And today, you know, I'm blessed to be able to express my story, to express my feelings, to share what I've been through, my life journey, my pains, my struggles, my griefs, my tribulations, everything. And for those that know me, I always say, turn your test into a testimony and your mess into your message. Can't fucking get more clear than that, you know. And that's how you take control back, because you can't really control the fact of the things that you were exposed to maybe when you were younger and defenseless and stuff like that. But you are in control now, whether you become or continue to be the product of that, like victimization, like, you know, I'm the victim, or you become a survivor. Like I never call myself a victim. I've been through some rough patches, you know, abuse, all that stuff, but it's either it breaks you or it makes you, you know. And like again, by the grace of my higher power, I had a strong mom that never allowed me to give up. That wasn't an option. And
now your daughter has a strong mom too.
Most definitely. I would like to think that. Thank you. So, you know, it's just, I embrace it, and I take power in my story. You know, I don't minimize it, and I won't let anybody else minimize it, because that's what represents me. That's who I am. That's my story. And man, like when the time comes, it'll be some things that maybe aren't as free to talk about, like, you know, in a film. You know, I've been so many things at one time, like whether I experimented with drugs or became a teen mom, or, you know, been in the mix of like even growing up with things I've seen, like either incest or whatever, like in or outside of my family, or whatever the hell it might be. Gang culture, drugs, like prison systems, just immigration, like all these things. And it's like how I endured all of it and still stand, I really do believe it's a higher power. There's no other question or answer to that. But yeah, like I'm ready just to leave that story behind and just say, look, like, fuck, if she did it, like, why can't anybody else do it?
That is so empowering. I mean, just you talking, here I'm thinking like, shit, if I had this story when I was growing up, like, oh my God. I mean, even now, like, I'm listening to your story and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I feel so much relief out of me, because I feel like I dealt similar things, like not feeling like you matter in the sense, like, why am I dealing with this, or why am I going through this? And then you get over the one hump and it's another hump, you get over it and you're like, shit, like, you know. And then to tell your story and just leave it there, and like, you're right, there's only one of you. So if I'm not going to tell this story, and you don't know who you're going to help, like, there are so many things you just said and in the back I'm like all choked up, and in the back of my mind I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm not alone. And I think that's the biggest thing people need, like, and then it's in a retrospect, it helps you feel like you're not alone, because people are going to connect to this story. Like, we've all been there. I mean, I have been to the place where, like, I didn't even think I was going to continue to live anymore. Like, I thought, you know, I'm going to kill myself and I don't know how to make it over my life. And then I'm so happy I didn't, because like you said, I'm now here for some purpose or another, and I got to just do what I can to, like, thank those blessings. And you're right, like, whoever didn't stand with me, that's okay, because it got me to where I am. And even though we dealt with some shit, like, who we are now is probably the best person ever. Like, proud of that person. And it's like, just what you said right now, like, that movie is good. I just can't wait to be there. Rad Chat fully supports, and it just really is the epitome of your message. And I think there's nothing better than URA Casting or From the Streets to the Set, like, boom, that just comes back to you full circle, because you're like, I've been there. Like, I have been on the street, and the street can be a reference to anything, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's so open to interpretation. Yes. You could have literally been from the street, or you could have been dealing with things that people from the street deal with. And now I'm here, and the set can also be anything. I'm on all types of sets. I'm doing all types of things, and I'm just getting my street message to the set message. And dude, oh my God, just like, mind fucked me right now with, like, emotion. Like, I feel like it's true too. People attract who they're supposed to meet, and I think, thank you, Alex, we were supposed to meet. I feel very, like, in tune to your message and who you are as a person. And I think that is the most important thing of life. Like, you are supposed to share your story with who's gonna hear it, and people that will hear it are gonna be meant to hear that message, and people that work with you are meant to work with you and bring your whole mission to life. Like, it's just, wow, it's so incredible.
Thank you.
Is there, I know that's such a loaded conversation. Is there anything that you would also like to say about URA Casting and all the Instagram From the Streets to the Set? Is there anything you'd like to plug, or things coming, or projects people can see you guys in?
Yeah, we also, I forgot to say, we do also have a branch out in Chicago. So,
oh, shit, nice.
Yeah, shout out to Chicago.
Other states, guys.
Yes, and eventually, you know, we are going to branch out. If you notice, I like to speak a lot of, like, future, you know, sense, because I don't believe in, like, I wish, I hope, if, you know, whatever, because I think, you know, words are a very powerful thing, and your mind's a very powerful thing. So when I say we will be in different states, is I'm claiming it, I'm owning it, it's gonna happen, you know, with time, but it will. And, you know, just stay tuned, like, support us. I think a lot of people need to know that we're out there, that, you know, we exist. And also, for those that want to be involved on the other side of, like, the production, which is, like, the advocacy, we do a lot of advocacy work with, like I said, juvenile halls and even prisons. And I worked collaboratively with other organizations like Homies Unidos and, like, Homeboys, and you know, just other organizations that have stepped up and said, hey, you know, we want to be about the community, but we don't have, like, this component, right? Yeah. So there's things that we all do together, but if there is more out there that, you know, are willing to come through and open up that door also, and, like, see how we could work with each other, even bring, maybe facilitate, like, a writing class or something, you know, that could also be in the works. And as far as projects goes, there are a few. Stay tuned. I will, you know, post on them. As some of you guys have seen, I've already started, like, casting for some things. We do have a few artists from India who we're gonna be doing like more music videos for. We have been collaboratively also working with international artists, you know.
Fun.
So
Nice.
such as I mean, all the time I don't understand what the song says, but I ask, and I'm like, so what is, you know, and so based on that. But it's always good to, you know, be around different people and stuff. But more than anything, you know, we're gonna keep hustling, grinding, and for those who want to even like sponsor maybe one of our guys, that, you know, you could go onto our page, look at maybe a particular talent and say, hey, like there's something about this guy I believe, or this girl, whatever. The sponsorship doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I need to see a check, or I need like, no, we do have connections and a very close bond with Anthony Gilardi's studio.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so you know, if anybody wants to sponsor maybe a class, or like pay for a month or something for one of these guys to go, then you know, anything, or even come down and speak to our team meeting. I have a team meeting once a month, you know, and I open it for guest speakers in the industry or whatever that could give advice or help, or a tip, or this how they do things, or like what they expect from you. Also speakers or volunteers.
I would love to be a part of anything you do.
Thank you.
Just let me know where I can help.
I will put it out there. August 6th, we are looking into doing a collaborative vendors event, you know, because of everything that's happening on social media and like the Black and brown community and stuff. And one thing I gotta remind the viewers and stuff like that, not everything you see on social media is the news, so don't rely too much on what it tells you, because at the end of the day it's still an entertainment platform. Let's keep that very clear and transparent. But I think like if you go firsthand into the communities with the people frontline actually doing the work, then you really get to see that there is really more there is a change when it comes to unity based on whatever they want us to see on media. That's something different. But we are putting together a Black and brown vendor event. So have like blocked off a lot, and you know, obviously with the safety, we could either like do like drive through like service or pick up or whatever, but or you could pick up there and eat it in your car, or however it's gonna work. Just
wear a mask.
Yes, wear a mask. We will have a mask vendor there.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
You know, so these are like the things that we're trying to put together, just to show that as much as we need our Raza vendors out there, there's also Black vendors out there, and everybody's just trying to make a living, man, regardless of what the color of your skin is. And I think we live in times that we're just trying to survive. We're trying to stay sane, and you know, this event hopefully puts a different perspective that not everybody in these communities is out to do damage, or there's racism, or like there's actually, you know, people on our side that grew up with Blacks, and then there's Blacks that grew up with browns, like, so I think remembering that is key component, you know. And so August 6th,
that's exciting.
You know,
We will be
for
there.
location as well. And there's like other stuff.
A
lot of stuff, but nevertheless, we're gonna keep grinding, keep going. And you know, if you guys are interested in any of our talent, whether it's through acting or cinematography or producing, directing, that's cool. But then we also said, like I said, we have tattoo artists, we have fruit vendors, we have people who do silkscreen with t-shirts, you know, and so those people also need support, you know. And so let's just, you know, however we serve the community and how you guys are able to help us grow and put ourselves more out there in a good way, then we're all for it, you know. And thank you again, like, for opening your space.
Oh my gosh, thank you for coming. I'm the blessed one here, guys. Holy shit, I got first literally hand experience of this story. But guys, you have to follow not only just Berenice's message, but URA Casting, but it's on Instagram, From the Street to the Set. For people that are listening, can you say what the Instagram handle is?
So the Instagram handle is From the Streets to the Set with an underscore under every word.
So it'd be underscore the.
So from underscore the street. Like, so if you just really just put from underscore, it'll come up.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on Facebook, it's From the Streets to the Set. And TikTok, it'll be From the Streets to the Set #kids.
Nice.
And also our email, ura.casting@gmail.com, if you guys want to email. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming. And guys, August 6th, I'm not sure when this video will be posted, but we will promote August 6th event. Just let us know the location. I'll post it everywhere. I'd love to be there. And anything in the future I can help with. Guys, we got to support our communities. We got to support businesses. We got to support humans and each other. And especially giving a light and a voice to the Black and brown communities. We need to work together. So thank you so much, Berenice, for coming. I really appreciate it.
For sure.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.